Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Thursday, April 28th, 2022, and tonight I'll be sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, to hear all episodes of the podcast, along with finding links to social media and ways to donate and other ways to contact me, you can visit the podcast page, which is salcidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions for shows, or if you have stories of experiences, whether they're your own or others that you trust. I can either read them on the show, or if you'd like to join me, we can also do that and have you as a guest on the show. And tomorrow night will be the second part in the fairs and festivals, the amusement parks, and the paranormal trilogy. So that will be I'm looking forward to that a lot. Just based on the research I've already done and just the way the last Friday's episode went. Thank you again, Jen, for being here for that and for joining me for that. That was really helped out with that episode. So, and I'm looking forward to covering more of this tomorrow. So, so I think that's it for today, and we can get to the stories here. Thank you all for listening, whether you're here for the live stream or you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds. I appreciate all your support. So, now to the stories. Alright, this one says, 2 or 3 years ago, on a Friday night, my mom went out to dinner with my aunt. I stayed at home to play video games. Anyway, lights were turned off in every room except for the living room and my room. We lived in an apartment, so these two rooms were close. About 2 hours after my mom left, at around 11 p.m., my mom's room was pitch dark, and the hallway was slightly illuminated by the lights I mentioned before. And I can swear I saw a tall, slender, dark figure walk into her room. I get chills thinking about it just now. I know I saw it. Big black shadow walking into her room. It made no noise. Nothing else like this has ever happened before or after. And that's where that one ends. The fact that there hasn't been any activity before or after that is odd. I wonder if it was just passing through somehow. I don't know. I don't know if it was just passing through. Maybe there's some kind of a portal nearby that it used to go. It's hard to say, especially when it's just one event like that. Hopefully that's all it was doing, was just passing through, and just the circumstances lined up for the writer to see that just right. So, but anyway, go on to the next story here in a moment. But yeah, I don't know about that one. That one, those one-off events to me are just as interesting. I wouldn't say more interesting, but just as interesting as the cases where things happen constantly, because you just really have nothing to go on except for that one event. Or I mean, unless you look into the history of a place, but even that might not always lead to anything. So, let's see what this next story says here. Okay. So this one says, we have a 5-year-old child who, since moving into our townhouse, has been staying up late having conversations with nothing, complete with answering questions. I got up and went in just to see if she was just being imaginative, and she said she was talking to the woman in the closet. The dogs now and then stare upstairs completely still and don't move. She has been mentioning the name of a person daily, and something clicked for us. Oh, I'm sorry. Something clicked for us to ask her who this person is. This person doesn't attend her class. She says this person talks to her and leaves the house with her to school. She describes this person as older than us, 40 to 50 years old, and has quotation marks scary face and is tall. Weirder still is the last place had some weird goings on, where you would hear walking around when everyone was asleep. And one night, I swear I saw a tall silhouette of a woman standing in the room with me. The lady of the house has stated seeing it here as well, lurking at the end of the hall as the little one gets put to bed. So this is an odd one. It can be taken a couple different ways. I don't know. Oh yes, okay, yeah. That's true. I'm just looking at the chat here. APOC, I have to listen to that again because I think but no, I remember that now. There's a so APOC says there's a theory that shadow people could in part be ourself in a different point in time. Somehow our frequency tunes into the same moment. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Just a one-time thing where maybe the writer saw their mom or someone else from the family just walk into the room, but just their shadow, because that's all they were able to see, and that's what it was. But as for this story, at first I almost wasn't sure if I was going to share it because it kind of started out almost as your typical scary story. Yeah, maybe we'll see. It's hard to say, but but then I kept on reading it, and I read it a couple of times, and I could see it being unsettling and frightening in a way, but also it doesn't seem like anything else happens other than this figure is seen and the writer's child senses it and talks with it. As long as there's no ill effects on anyone. I don't know. Obviously, you'd want things to be just normal whenever possible in dealing with a kid, I guess, in a way. So it's maybe not the most ideal situation. However, it is good that at least nothing else major is happening in that case. So that's why I want to share that one. Just there's one of those weird examples of who or what is this? Is it good? Is it bad? It's just hard to know without more details. Doesn't say anything about how this this apparition or this whatever this is makes the people feel. Does kind of the writer gives off this somewhat concerned vibe, but then again, nothing ever really happens with it. So hopefully it's just someone that some spirit that will become a spirit guide, or hopefully just eventually go away, and or maybe the child's sensitivity to it all will go away as well. It's possible. So, but yeah, so I had to share that one. Next one here. This one says, I wasn't really sure where to post this experience. If anyone has an idea of somewhere else to put this that'd be more appropriate, feel free to share. And this is on a website that I use. It says, I want to start off by saying this isn't super creepy, more just odd. My boyfriend's grandfather recently passed unexpectedly. Due to his age and other factors, after a fall he recently had, the best choice was not to perform any surgery. His daughter, my boyfriend's grandfather's, so my boyfriend's grandfather's daughter and that got a little confusing, were at his home yesterday cleaning everything up and getting everything organized. We took a break and decided to make some lunch. We needed a can opener. Now, this man has absolutely everything and anything. He has lived there for the last 25 years. Not to mention, he pretty much lived off tuna sandwiches. So why wouldn't he have a can opener? When I tell you that we looked through everything, I mean we looked through everything. No can opener. She ended up running down to the local store, excuse me, and purchased one. A bright red one. Red one. Fast forward a couple of hours, I was washing the dishes. There was a black can opener just sitting right there, in plain sight on the counter. There is absolutely no way that we didn't see it sitting there. Not one. There was literally nothing on the counter prior to our dirty dishes after we ate. We laughed it off. We could hear him saying, "It's right here," as he slammed it down on the counter. It's so wild though because we both said the same thing. His home felt so empty. His wife has severe dementia, and I don't believe that he was ready to pass on. I could get into all of that, but that's a whole different story. I thought for sure that his spirit might stay behind, at least until she passes on. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he did truly pass on. I don't know. Either way, this whole situation was just weird and unexplainable. So, typical situation there where items appear or disappear and then appear, apparently. And that's something that's common. And that's been attributed to spirits, to ghosts, and to just random, I guess you could say, portals or energy fields, just making things appear to disappear. Or somehow them just, yeah, it's just really, really strange the way objects can just appear or disappear and then appear, and then any combination of those. It does sound like they tried to figure it out and they couldn't. So, I thought that was a neat story there. Sad, but still neat that the event that actually happened there. So, let's see here. And I'll go on to the next story. This one says, this was several years ago. Statistically, at any given point, there are 2 to 3 people that look exactly like me and you. I don't know if my story will be classified as paranormal, but it happened, and it was pretty weird. So I'll just tell it as it happened. Back in 2014, when I was younger, and malls were still a thing, I found myself at the mall. It was in the middle of the day. I was in a store with my then girlfriend. Nothing usual at the time. We were on the 3rd floor and just got on the escalator going down. I hate those things, escalators. Anyway, A part that I always remember about this specific flight of escalators were the walls. They were completely mirrored and provided an almost funhouse effect when you're riding the escalators. That doesn't sound good. I don't think I'd like that either. Anyway, keep in mind that next to the escalator we were riding is another one. This one going up to the third floor, where I was leaving. Riding the escalator down and near my girlfriend, I was enjoying the infinite reflection within the mirrors dancing all around me. In the mirror, I found what I believed to be my own reflection. Only I felt this reflected image of mine was somehow not me. Keep in mind, the escalator is going down. Trying to find the source of my not quite me reflection, I naturally look downward. Coming toward me, I see someone who looks exactly like me. His eyes are looking straight ahead, so he didn't see me yet. I stood in amazement, as I rode down and he was riding up towards me. He was with a girl that also looked similar to mine. Time slowed down as I made a mental image of what I was seeing. I knew I was meeting my doppelganger, and that this must be an important moment. I should probably pay attention because I wanted to remember every possible detail. The face, the nose, the hair, and hairstyle were the same as me. He had my physical build too. He looked exactly the same height, weight, skin tone, and muscle tone as me. What really blew my mind was his clothing. I believe my jaw dropped. I've been told by my friends that I have a very specific style, although I've never really understood what that meant. It's probably because I'm a retired skater, punk rock type of guy, and don't really follow pop trends. Anyway, the point is, my doppelganger was wearing clothes I actually owned and wore at the time. When I made this connection, I was overwhelmed with every kind of emotion all at once. He was going toward me, and I was going towards him. As our motorized stairs carried us further, he noticed me. We made eye contact. When he saw me, his jaw dropped. We drew closer. Our eyes locked when we passed by each other like two ships in the night. I wasn't scared because his reaction was completely genuine, and he had the same stupid look of bewilderment I wore. We didn't say a word, but I could tell he was pretty surprised to see me. At least my doppelganger seemed pretty relaxed and not threatening. We turned our heads as far as we could, and then got off on our respective floors. Immediately after I got off, I said to my girlfriend, "Did you see that guy?" Her face was white, and she said she didn't want to talk about it. And that's where that one ends. So, excuse me, either that figure was somehow acting, or it was just a strange meeting of two people that looked exactly like each other. I don't know with that one. The reaction, it does seem like it was surprised. So maybe that was the case. I've heard far creepier stories of doppelgangers, so that one is definitely surprising and could still be frightening in a way. But yeah, just an odd story. I'm wondering now, these escalators, They're motorized stairs. They're running on electricity. I don't know. I wonder if there's something to do with that. Now I feel like I have to look into haunted malls or places that have escalators. But maybe not. But but yeah, no, I thought that was a neat story. I have issues with escalators because I have no well, up is okay, but down I have no depth perception. So to me, stairs going down look a lot like extremely steep ramps when I look at them. I mean, I know that they're going down because I can see off in the distance a little ways that is not the same level as where I'm at. But when I look at stairs, I don't see any separation, or at least barely any. So then you have to just climb or just take a step onto this thing that's moving. And yeah, I don't care for those. So anyway, that's enough about me and my dislike of escalators. But yeah, yeah, it can be dizzying. They can be dizzying. I don't care for them. I don't like going up really either because I worry I'm gonna fall back. But down is the worst for me. So, and then the mirrors, all the mirrors on the sides of those, the ones in the story, that seems like that could make it even worse. So, anyway, but uh, but yeah, that's it's an amazing experience, and the girlfriend of the writer saw this figure too. So, and it seems like I don't know. That's a great situation there. So, let's see here. I think I have two more to go. Yeah, I got two more to go. Okay. And so this one says, this event has happened twice in my lifetime, and it feels too weird not to share. The first time this happened was back when I was 7. We went on a cross-country trip and visited Yellowstone National Park there in the U.S. and decided on staying in the Old Faithful Inn. One afternoon, my parents let me run to the gift shop while they sat on the second floor balcony area to watch the geyser go off. On my way, I noticed a young boy, no older than me at the time, asking strangers if they had seen his mom. I was a bit concerned for him, so I decided to follow him a little bit down the stairs since I had to go there anyway. Although after I took my eyes off of him for a second, I looked back to where he was, and he was nowhere to be seen. I thought it was odd, but I didn't bring it up to my parents, considering that he may have just run out of view. Before we left the hotel to head to another hotel, my dad picked up a book of ghost stories based around the hotel, unaware of what I had experienced. That night, he was going through the stories, and he was going to read one of them. And it was about a young boy who roams the second floor looking for his mother. I found the story really similar to what I had experienced and told my parents, who also thought it was weird. For years, I disregarded the event until something similar happened when I was 16. At this point, I had decided to dabble in paranormal, investigations after some other experiences I had. My parents decided to take me to a cemetery in Plymouth, Massachusetts, to test out some equipment I had gotten. EMF, which is electromagnetic field meter, and a spirit box, which is also the sleeping radio device, basically, where you can hear voices sometimes, according to some researchers. It says, after walking through the graveyard for a bit, I noticed a particular grave had a high EMF reading. I waited around for a bit when I noticed the wind pick up to a point where I felt like I was in a heavy storm. It was completely out of the blue considering the day was clear and wind-free. At that point, I got a strong urge to leave, as if I wasn't wanted. I chose to accept the warning and head out. That was when I felt a strong punch sensation to my gut. After that, I obviously got out of there. One thing I didn't mention is that before we went to this graveyard, we picked up a book of, you guessed it, ghost stories in Plymouth. I didn't read any of it before entering the graveyard. Out of curiosity, I decided I'd read it when I got home, only to discover, once again, I had experienced something someone else had in the past. This time it was a story of a tour guide that had felt the same sensation and experienced the same gusts of wind as I did in the same graveyard. With this happening twice, I'm really starting to consider if I have a knack for this kind of thing. I do believe that I have some connections with the paranormal and have tons of other stories of things I've experienced during my amateur investigations. So, that's the end of that one. And that's two things in a row. Two experiences in a row that the writer didn't know about, that others had experienced in the same area, and only found out after that they had been experienced there by other people. So, obviously the one in the graveyard was quite a bit more intense, judging by the sound of it. And but yeah. So the wind in that one, the rising wind, that really makes me wonder because I did an episode a little while back, even though it didn't end up being as long as I wanted, but about this question of is the paranormal and weather related, or can consciousnesses, whatever they are, whether they're spirits or other beings, can they manipulate or even generate weather? And so that's why I wanted to share this story, because that's a example, possibly, maybe, of that happening. Seems like it started right when the person got to that site. So I don't know, but that's quite the couple of coincidences there. So, but excuse me. So I have one more story left, and then we'll be done for today. So let me get to that, and we'll go from there. Yeah. Okay. So this one is kind of a long one. Let's see here. Let me check on chat one more time. Okay. Yeah. So Epoch says if they can manipulate audio via EVP, they can probably do the same with wind. It's all energy. Yeah. Definitely seems possible. Definitely seems that way. How many times do you hear that? Again, I guess I don't really need to go into it again, but when like in this case, maybe it was someone there that didn't like, didn't want to be bothered, and they just kind of said, nope, we're not doing this, and they generated that wind, and maybe even that that sensation of that punch was more of a wind thing, just a concentrated burst of it right there. Seems like that could be likely right there. So, but anyway, let me get to this last story here, and then we'll go from there. This says this takes place between 2019 to 2021 when I was living in Texas. That's in the U.S. Me and my wife had moved from our apartment to a 4-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms, and we were renting. One weekend, I got a few friends to help me move furniture and everything. We would come, everything. Oh, every time, I'm sorry, we would come back with a load. A stuffed animal my wife had would be on the floor, and I would put it back. I kind of shook it off. Fast forward a few weeks after being moved in. I was in the bathroom and could hear a door open and footsteps in the living room. I ran in there and nothing. And my wife's little dog was just snoozing. He always barks at everything, so I thought it was weird. This would happen a few times. A few months later, when my son was born, we had set up a camera in his room and a monitor in ours. Once again, I was home alone, folding clothes in me and my wife's bedroom. And I can hear the crib rattling and see his sheets moving. My son was with my in-laws at their house. I ran in there and nothing. I again heard it 30 minutes later, but still nothing. Over the next months, I would have random occurrences like that. My wife said she would also hear things when she was home alone. One night I was doing dishes, and she was in the master bathroom, brushing her teeth. She came into the kitchen asking if I was in the room, and I said no. She then proceeded to say she saw a shadow moving on the bedroom wall into the bathroom and thought it was me. Fast forward another 6 months, my wife was pregnant with the second child. One night she wakes up, 2 drawers in front of the bed being opened, and sees someone she thinks is me, and props herself up to yell at me. In the process, she grabs my arm because I'm lying next to her. She then realizes it's not me. She said the figure turned to look at her and then disappeared. She woke me up and told me, so I searched the house. All the doors and windows were locked. On top of that, both dogs were in the living room, snoozing on the floor outside the door. Both dogs bark at everything. So we continued to have experiences once a month until we had to move for work. One weird thing I might add is that the house next to us had a total of 5 different occupants within the 2 years that we lived there. Each of the occupants would randomly just leave in the middle of the night each time. And the next day, there'd be a for lease sign in the yard. So I always wonder if a ghost or something was coming from their house to ours, since my experiences weren't frequent. And that's the end of that story. The connected locations, that is, and then also the frequent owners. That has happened in different stories. That's not uncommon in these experiences. And so, but the activity in 2 houses, it just makes you wonder what's going on there. Also, the way the dogs weren't bothered. Excuse me. Um, does that mean this, whatever this was able to just completely avoid their senses? Or if they were asleep, completely asleep, maybe they wouldn't sense whatever was going on? Or were they just not even worried? Um, it doesn't sound like anything terrible really happened there to the writer's family. Now, the occupants moving out next door, that makes me wonder about all those stories. But yeah, so I don't know. That's sounds like a lot of activity in that one area of those two houses. So, but that will do it for today. Thank you all for listening. And tomorrow night, I'll be talking about, more specifically about traveling fairs and carnivals and leading up to the amusement parks and the paranormal. So that's the plan for tomorrow night, and that'll be it for the week. So thank you all for listening, and I will see you all tomorrow. Talk to you all tomorrow night. See you all tomorrow night. I guess I'll see you all in the chat when you're around. Just one thing too, real quick, for anyone that hears these podcasts, the streams are a lot of fun. Uh, there's a lot of there's always people posting ideas and thoughts on the stories and whatever we're covering. There's a lot of images and memes that get posted. So I definitely encourage anyone that listens to the show, if you are able to join the Discord server, and if you're available at the time of the shows, always happy to have you all here. So anyway, have a great night, and I will talk to you all tomorrow night on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care.